Hi, folks. You're probably wondering why there's such a interesting or rather bizarre set of online classes coming up. But because of a number of things that have happened, I don't want to say sign, I would rather say omen, and also the state of the collapse and how close we're getting to it. We got to start making preparations in a lot of different ways, some of them physically, some of them spiritually. And as I go through these classes, understand that I probably wasn't going to put these classes in for another year or two, but time is so accelerated and things are so falling apart from hurricanes to earth upheavals, diseases, you name it. Everything grandfather said has come through and at faster than he said, which was a once a possible future and now is a probable future, that higher speed toward the collapse. Excuse me. Let's start out with the first one, psychological warfare. This is a physical approach to psychological warfare. I only covered a little bit in the scout classes and it's privy to the scouts. But when you start thinking about psychological warfare and the event of the collapse that is impending, you don't know what people are going to do that are living around you, or for that matter, the people that you encounter if in fact you do have to escape, whether that's a slow escape or a fast escape. What I'm going to teach you is ways of, without saying a word really, of make you unapproachable, almost frightening. And I say this, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but in a prison system or in an institution, when a person is a little bit off the wall and is not following the normal, people shy away from them. They're frightened of them. And I don't want to go to that extreme, but I'm going to cover the extremes in this psychological warfare class. And to tell you the truth, they should start be instituted right after the class. That's how close we're getting. So it's going to be an interesting class. It's fun in a way, but it's not to be used for practice, so to speak. I'll give you some things you can practice, but you don't want to send up any alarms right away. And that's why it's labeled the physical psychological warfare class. Another one, and by the way, the physical warfare, psychological warfare class has no prerequisites other than you have taken some tracker class. The other one is empowering your vision. And this is an important one because, as many of you know who have been with me for a while, the one thing grandfather would say to us, whether we were going out to learn a physical skill that he had taught, or we were going to one of the old pineys to learn something, or a spiritual skill, he would tell us to empower your vision. And that sounds so simple, but it's actually very, very complex. And in the scope of time that I have for a class, I can't get into the whole ramifications of empowering vision. It takes a class in and of itself to try to explain all the elements that are involved in it. And you'll find that when you empower your vision after this class, your results are going to go through the roof because I can say it and people get an idea of what I mean, but not the deep, visceral changes that occur, whether you're practicing a skill, whether you're going on a spiritual pursuit or journey, that empowered vision is like at the root of everything grandfather taught. And so many people in the past have asked me, what does empowering really mean? And I tell them, you got a few hours? Well, you got a few hours now. Now, the next three classes, these are only open to certain individuals because they can be highly dangerous. And if you do not have a background of, for instance, Temples 3 online or the Philosophy 1 on whether it's online or you know, live, a physical class, then you cannot join these classes. It's totally off limits. It's far too dangerous. And I'm going to start out with Temples 4. In fact, Temples 3 did so well, it actually blew me out of the equation, so to speak. I was just amazed at the results. So I rewrote Temples 4 and decided to really push the limits to failure and get that information out to you as much as I possibly can. And it's only open to Temples 3 graduates online. I want to hold that group together because you're not only instrumental now, but in the future you're going to be very, very critical for people's survival. And this that I'm going to teach you is going to, you have no idea where I'm going to take you. Finally, there's two other classes. They're almost a back to back. It's called Spiritual Psychological Warfare and Spiritual Combat. Don't think that this is all done on a spiritual level. It isn't. The spiritual element of it is an inroad to reach any person on any level, albeit the physical, the force, the subconscious, the spirit, and even the temples of the soul. And when things start getting really nasty out there, which is going to come pretty quick, you're going to have to revert to powers that go beyond the flesh, that transcend the flesh, because you'll get some people that are just so belligerent and so caught up in the frenzy of survival that the only way to reach them and deter them will be through spiritual means. And I highly recommend these two classes. In fact, I highly recommend them all. They're coming a couple of years early than I had planned, but time is so short. Look around you. So many people are in denial. Shootings in the streets, in the schools, in the malls, diseases that are mutating. I mean, it's just staggering. Everybody is frightened. In fact, in a week or so, I'm going to be sending a letter out to all keepers of the wisdom in that a lot has changed as far as escape has concerned due to the same omen on a spiritual level. I should say omens, many, but also on a physical level, things that have occurred that have really set up a red flag. I do hope to see you at the classes, but I will say this with the Temples 4, the spiritual psychological warfare, and the spiritual combat, I will make no exceptions whatsoever. You have to have the prerequisites. Thanks so much, folks. Really stay safe, stay acutely aware, trust nothing, plan, please. Thanks so much, Shuna.